Hey YouTube land, Tycondrius here doing another action figure review, and today we're having a look at a Batman 66 figure from Mcfarlane. Now this is one of the newer figures from the latest wave of figures that they've done, and it's one based on something that wasn't in the show. As far as I believe, it's based on a comic appearance of a similar design. However, that comic appearance one is actually much larger than the figure that we actually ended up getting. And that is, I bring around the back of the box, this is the Robot Batman. So this is kind of like a 60s, 50s kind of retro style looking robot, you know, the kind of clunky bolts and excuse me, clunky kind of design with rivets and metal and all that kind of classic kind of robot design compared to the kind of more futuristic looking stuff we got in the 80s. Well, that said, there was a couple of clunky designs back then too, but this is the figure itself as it comes in the packaging. So it does come with 2 accessories instead of those signs that for the whatchamacallit, for, you know, the punching, for the air quotes. It does come with it does come with 2 accessories, which are, in this case, these kind of blaster looking things. Now the idea behind these is, I flip them around, I should say left and right on one of these. I think this is the left one, because they only go into one foot. So the idea is that you plug them in to said sections, and it gives them these kind of retro thruster things, kind of like a Iron Man sort of style thrusters. The one downside of this is obviously you can't stand the figure when these are plugged in, and Mcfarlane in their infinite wisdom didn't give you any sort of flight stand for this sort of thing. There is no stand at all for these guys, so it is what it is. Overall design is quite nice. The packaging is pretty much the same as any of the other Batman 66. You have, instead of Batman Classic now, it says Batman 66 there, and then you don't have an image of any of the other figures. You just have an artwork of the kind of characters from that era, and then you have an image of the figure, or it's an artist kind of digital rendering of the figure, and that's pretty much it for the packaging. So out of this whole wave of figures, this guy and the only other guy that I picked up from this wave, which was the Superman, are the 2 figures I was most interested in. There was the Lord Death Man, or Lord Death Mask, or whatever the heck his name is. I wasn't really particularly interested in that guy, and I think there was one other guy in this particular wave, and it didn't make me want to pick him up. But this guy is pretty cool. He has a fairly rubbery antenna thing here on his, up by his head. He's fairly limited on articulation, so his arms can just rotate around. There is a hinge for them to go out. There is a single jointed hinge with a swivel, and then there's a swivel in the wrist. I love the design of the hands. These are like those old style pincher claw things, kind of like what you'd see on classic sci-fi robots and stuff like that. It looks really like something out of a what's the name, Flash Gordon style design. Kind of big, bulky and chunky. His hips has some movement, but not great. He does have a waist swivel. He does have those, was it polyps or whatever they're called, the things that Batman has on the back of his hands. They are quite a solid piece, so they are kind of pointy and sharp. He has a single jointed knee with a swivel, and then nothing in the ankle, but he does have 2 foot pegs. So if you have a stand, he should be able to fit most standardized stands. In fact, these Fortnite plates that I use, the foot pegs on those actually seem to fit him quite nicely. And he is cool. His head does have a swivel. It can swivel the whole way around. There's nothing under the face mask, you can't remove it or anything, although I think it is a separate piece because the cape is secured into it. The cape is similar to the one that came with the first version Batman and the Superman. So if I bring in Superman here, you can see it's that kind of slightly almost light material. And if I bring in the crime fighter himself that this guy is based on, you can see it has a very similar look and similar paintwork to the Adam West Batman. So there is that. And then something of note that happened when I was getting this guy out of the packaging. So these things, is this the right one? Nope, it's the other one, I believe. Yep. So this one has ore on it for the right hand side. This came apart. Now I'm not sure if it was a QC issue, but the glue on it didn't seem to hold up. It does seem to fit. Oops, you have to get it the right way around. It does fit in reasonably well, and it doesn't flop back out. So if you wanted to, and I'm not saying you have to, you could in theory pop those out and then have these on the ankles as they are designed, and it doesn't look too bad. You're not left with the gaping holes on the side of the figure's legs. The other one seems to be more glued in and is not budging on mine, but when I was popping this out of the packaging, this blast piece came out. Another option you can use these for as well, and I've seen people use them as a sort of laser gun for the robot with a blast effect. So you can, they're not intended for that purpose, but you can kind of get away with it. It's not too bad. But all in all, it is a cool design. If you're a fan of the 60s TV show and not anything that came after that, then this guy probably isn't for you. But if you're a fan of the kind of continuation that they're trying to do with this line to try and keep it alive and kind of bring in more interesting stuff, this guy's actually quite cool. And just bringing the tape measure, you can see we just stand a little over 6 inches because of the points on these bat ears. And I believe, it's hard to tell, but I think the antenna is just a slight bit taller than the bat ears, so he could be a hair taller as well. One of the cool things about his graspy pinchy hands is that if you have a bad guy, you can, if I can do it on screen, this is the way they're done. And I kind of wish Batgirl's bat cuffs were done similar. You can actually have him capture a bad guy by clamping onto his hands. These are the bat cuffs that came with Batgirl. They're a solid piece. If these had been more of a rubbery piece, you might have been able to stretch these over figures' hands, which is a shame. But you can have Robot Batman capture a villain to bring him to justice. And so all in all, it's a really cool design robot for that kind of retro classic kind of 50s, 60s style look. I would even say 70s style look as well. It's all kind of bulky bolts, clunky metal coloring, and it is quite nicely done. I picked this guy up from Big Bad Toy Store. I'm not sure if he's still available at the time of this recording. I know some of it depends on the figures. Some of them sell out really quickly. I mean, the Batgirl one was, I believe, Walmart exclusive, and she is nearly impossible to find. A lot of collectors want to collect that Batgirl, and unfortunately she is one of the harder to find of the figures. She sells out as soon as she comes back in stock. This guy's not too bad. He has a really cool belt. The yellow on the belt is a bit doesn't have the same kind of pop as Batman's. It's a little bit more neon to my liking. I would have liked it to be a little bit more yellow, like a deeper yellow, kind of similar to Batgirl's one. But other than that, it's not too bad. And the bat symbol is nicely done on the front of the chest. So it is a really cool, clunky design. And you can see just from the back, you can see the rivets are continued on. And the kind of overall design aspect is really replicated all the way on this guy. So he's actually not a bad looking robot. So there you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed this quick video review of the Batman Batbot from I was going to say Mattel, but it's from Mcfarlane. So it is a really cool design. Now, the one thing I will say is, if you have any of the Bat vehicles like the Batmobile or the Batcycle or the Batboat, he will not fit in any of those because his legs don't have the range of movement to get him into a seated position. But other than that, he does look cool. If you have him in the Batcave, he'll probably look pretty cool in the setup in the background of the Batcave kind of thing, as kind of like a unused bat armor sort of thing as well. So all in all, he's not too bad. So I hope you enjoy this quick video review, and as always, please feel free to like, comment and subscribe to my channel, and I hope you enjoy your day. Cheers guys.